Hello friends, and welcome to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and today we're going to be talking about why I am going to be farming BB-8 to gear level 12 and why I'm very much considering Zetaing him within the next couple of months. Probably in the next couple of weeks, to be honest. But first, I want to show you how I performed in the second phase of the heroic tank raid. Now, I know that there's a lot of you people out there who are huge fans of the Resistance team, and I'm really curious to find out whether or not you currently use BB-8 in your Resistance crew. Now, I use him here. I have him with under a Finn lead. Finn is Zated. I have R2-D2, who is also Zated, his number crunch. I don't have BB-8 Zated yet. I do have him fully Omega'd and fully modded and geared out into that. He doesn't have the best mods on him. None of my team actually does currently, which is kind of what makes me so excited to use him. Now, this is the Heroic AA tank that I'm showing you. It is obviously Phase 2, not Phase 4. You can use this team in Phase 2 and Phase 4. I know those who are Resistance aficionados will probably give you a better team for Phase 4. This one I was just playing around with, and I wanted to kind of show what I did. With the exception of R2, my crew is completely gear 10 and below. R2 is gear 12. Finn and Poe are gear 10. Resistance Trooper is gear level 8. And then BB-8 himself, the man of the hour, is gear level 9. But they do about 2 million in damage. And I made a number of missteps during this entire back and forth. What makes me want to really gear this team up, to really try them out, to make them as good as they possibly can be, and specifically what makes me want to make sure to get BB-8 to gear level 12 is, one, I just love the little droid. I love droids. My droid team that, you know, the Resistance team replaced, they still hold a very tender, dear place in my heart. But what I like about BB-8 and what I like for him for the tank raid, for the heroic tank raid, and what I also like for Galactic War and, you know, also for territory battles, is he adds a whole new dimension of survivability to the Resistance team. Now, one of the things I do love about him is the Illuminated Destiny. Now, it says dispels all debuffs on all allies and expose all enemies for 2 turns. All allies gain 80% turn meter and gain advantage, critical chance up, critical damage up, offense up, speed up for 4 turns. Droid and Resistance allies recover 20% protection. This ability starts on cooldown and can't be evaded. Whenever a droid ally scores a critical hit, reduce the cooldown of this ability by 1. Now, under a Finn Zeta lead, Resistance allies gain 30% offense and 60% defense, and other allies gain half that amount, which really isn't important under a Resistance lead, or on a Resistance team. When any Resistance ally loses foresight, they gain advantage for 2 turns, and whenever any enemy takes damage from expose, reduce the cooldown of all Resistance allies by 1 and grant them 35% turn meter. Now, you'll notice that I'm just throwing expose down left and right. Now, in a situation like this, when you throw on expose on every single turret, then you are going to just drop the counter, drop the amount of time it takes to use that ability, to use the Illuminated Destiny ability, which is good because it has a 70 turn cooldown. Now, what you'll notice though is every 2 or 3 rounds, I'm able to use it. They throw on so much expose, and R2 has such a great chance with critical hits, or at least I have him great with critical hits, and especially when the turret is, or the tank is toppled, you're going to be able to drop that cooldown a lot, which is important because, you know, when it untopples, then you throw on, you know, that ability and all the enemies get exposed again. So really, this is a great ability. I love it for the tank. I love it for the territory battles. I think it's great. And my whole point behind this is my guys aren't geared up that high. They're really not, because I haven't put a lot of time and effort into them. But that is all going to change. I seriously like BB-8. Now, I am curious to know what he will look like on a droid team, and that I am going to probably make another video of in the next couple of days. For those of you who are unfamiliar about how a resistance team works in Phase 2, essentially it comes down to expose, right? Exposing your team and exposing the tank as often as possible. So what you're going to do as nearly as often as you possibly can, you are going to use Poe Dameron's ability and his taunt ability, Resistance Bravado, right? Because we all know Poe is a bravado type guy. It taunts for 2 turns, remove 25% turn meter from each enemy with a 65% chance to expose them for 2 turns. Inflict buff immunity for 2 turns on the primary target. So what's awesome about this is you're going to throw expose, or you have a 65% chance to throw expose on this target. Additionally, you have the resistance trooper whose basic tosses expose. You have Finn's takedown, which, you know, great naming. Deal physical damage to target enemy and expose them for 2 turns with an 80% chance to stun them. Well, you can't stun the tank, but what you can do is expose them. Now, again, every time you have a character who has, you know, on a BB-8 team, as long as his convert data transfer is completely maxed out, you're going to be throwing secret intel on all of your tunes, which deals 25% more potency to that character. And when another ally uses a special ability, they gain secret intel for 3 turns. Then the cooldown of Illuminated Destiny is reduced by 1 for each ally with secret intel, right? So there is a chance that you are just dropping over and over and over the cooldown of Illuminated Destiny. With that being said, you're going to throw expose on these characters more and more and more. Also, because Illuminated Destiny gives allies and all people, essentially, speed up for 4 turns, you're really going to go a lot faster than the tank can go, right? There's a few other areas where the tank loses turn meter, and that's going to help. So essentially what you want to do is throw expose down as often as possibly can, right? And take it off as often as you possibly can. Then once the droid or once the tank is toppled, you just, you know, you repeat the process as often as you can. With BB-8, what you are going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure you're using your special abilities as often as you can, because, like I said, it drops down the chance, or it drops down the cooldown of the Illuminated Destiny, right? So with a character like R2, in a situation like this, what you're going to want to do is, if you can't throw down expose, and he doesn't throw down expose, what you want to do is use one of his other abilities, like smokescreen. And what that does is it gives your people an opportunity to continue to go without giving additional turn meter to the main turret. Now, again, I'm really curious to see what a completely Gear 12, completely Zetaed out team looks like. And can do with this against this tank. And I'm really curious because, like I've said, a completely, just as it is now, my characters do great things in the tank. 2 million is nothing to scoff at. I came in, I think, 13th place today in my tank raid. I only actually did this one battle and phase 1 of this tank as well, and I made, I think, 3.5 million. That's really nothing to scoff at, you know. And granted, the guy who came in first did like 18 million, which that's awesome. But for only doing 2 phases, 3 million is not bad, guys. And if your crew is in need of some help for phase 2 and phase 4, let's face it, phase 2 and phase 4 are probably the easiest ones that most people are able to do effectively. but it's still nice to be able to rack up them points. So what do you guys think about BB-8? Are you farming him? Do you like him? Were you able to unlock him at all? He was someone that I really wanted to get because I was starting to eye the Resistance team, and I'm actually glad that I put the effort into him. He is a valid player, and I do think that he is going to be useful in a number of other areas. And whether or not you're farming for the tank, or if you're farming for the territory battles, or you're just farming because you want the next character, I do think that he is a useful choice. Now, do you need to drop everything and farm him to gear 12? I don't think you do. I think you should keep farming what you're going to farm with. Don't let all the shiny new features of this game and all the shiny new characters of this game titillate you to a point where you drop what you're doing and you lose track or lose focus on who you are working towards. Everyone's team's going to be different, and everyone's team is going to be, or everyone's roster is going to be different, and everyone's roster needs to look different. You do you, and you do you the best that you can do. Now, with that, I'm going to take off. This has been Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. Like, subscribe, let us know what you think, and as always, my friends, stay nerdy.